This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
As we welcome you back into the Monday edition of Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network. Wherever you're watching or listening, we appreciate it. SiriusXM, channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We're live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Speaking of Circa, end of the hour, we'll do not only our best bets of the day, but also talking through some of the thoughts that are percolating for the NFL contest, Circa Survivor. We have VSiN's own Josh Appelbaum, who's going to join us coming up in 30 minutes. JVT's Notebook with some under-the-radar college football thoughts we need to get into, and of course, week one of the NFL season being upon us. How hyped are you?
I'm very excited, actually. So I have the smile on my face. Very much looking forward to it. Over the weekend, I do local radio out here, and so I was hosting our college football show from the Westgate. Usually do Sundays, but you and I will be together on Sundays in the morning. And just being in the environment, being in a book during a football season where everybody's kind of getting ready for big games. Obviously, Texas and Ohio State were about to kick off, so there was that kind of energy there. But, dude, we're here. That was our last Sunday without NFL action till the end of 2026 and beyond. Man, we're here. Also, not looking forward to this week, though, because we have hard decisions to make as it is contest time.
Yes, we do. It's and the debates, I think, will be fun for us, especially figuring out what we land on with Survivor. Because
I'm gonna laugh if we have like a Mike and Mike-esque type fallout because of this.
If
we're just gonna we lose Survivor for some ridiculous reason, we make a deep run. Neither one of us can forgive each other, so we don't talk to each other other than being only on the air.
So this is actually a good segue into our week one conversation just in general, because one of the call me crazies that we didn't get to in hour one, which if you did miss any of the show in the first hour, you can always download Money Moves in podcast form, but call me crazy, kind of our overreaction segment. And with all of the news that came down about Micah Parsons being traded this past week to the Green Bay Packers, I was wondering, call me crazy, but how high of a pick are the Philadelphia Eagles actually going to be here in week one against the Cowboys, as that line has gone over that key number of 7 to 7.5, and an Eagles team that is a run-first offense and a Dallas defense that, as much as they want to say they want to stop the run, hasn't been able to do it in a while. Do you think this will be one of those higher picks, even though it's a divisional game in Thursday night, because of the buyback-in factor?
I mean, I think it's going to be higher than we expect because of that. The ability to burn it and then come back. I think there's a shot that the Chiefs might be that team, though, in that, Kansas City using them against the Chargers on Friday and then being able to buy back in as opposed to the Eagles as well. I don't know, because I think when you look at the Eagles' schedule, and if we're right in the NFC East is not particularly great. For example, the Cowboys without Micah Parsons become a much easier target. Yes. We obviously know that, so that's going to be there.
Jalen Hurts is probably excited.
Yes, right. So we're talking about that. You have 2 games against the Giants still on the card as well for Philadelphia at some point so maybe you want to save them, but I think they're going to be higher. But I don't think they'd be a top 5 necessarily.
Okay.
I still think most people.
I'm surprised by that. I would have thought that you would have said yes, that they would be a top 3 pick.
No, because there's just maybe top 4. Just because look at the options. I mean, you still have I think the top 3 are solidly going to be Denver, Arizona, and Cincinnati in no particular order.
See, I would have put the Eagles over Cincinnati. Because they're not trustworthy for a lot of people. I'm just saying.
I think you're right.
There.
No, I think you're right. You could be. I'm not steadfastly pounding the desk here that I am wrong, or excuse me, that I'm right and you're wrong. But I think, we talked about, was it last week? I think there is an element of us kind of much to what we just watched actually in LSU and Clemson. The fact that LSU all summer was we got to win this game, right? And then they went out there and they did it.
They did.
And then you have Cincinnati doing the same thing. Every time the mic's open, we have to win. We can't get off to this slow start. Maybe I just think that we're going to get a very good effort from this team. I understand how bad the defenses look. I understand the market's moving against them. We're down to 5 at multiple spots now. But I still think that's going to be a team that finds itself inside the top 3 in terms of selections.
Worth noting, coming off of the big trade, Dak Prescott spoke to media yesterday for the first time and said he thinks now that the deal is done, it actually might be a little bit less of a distraction here as we enter week 1. Here's Dak.
I can't say I was completely surprised, but I definitely didn't think he was going to get traded. I'll say that. But just with the way that their negotiations went down, obviously, to some extent, I mean, hell, y'all were asking me questions. It seemed like it got personal on their ends. So, like, that's why I wasn't surprised. If nothing would have been done, we'd sit here and y'all still would have been asking me whether he was playing in a couple of days or when he was going to be playing. That would be a lot more of a headache and distraction than getting a solution to it.
So, too, he wasn't surprised, but he was surprised. But I thought the big takeaway, though, was that second part where he thinks, okay, at least one of our distractions is gone. The Cowboys did, by the way, and I mentioned this earlier, did re-sign and extend one of their key defensive players. Deron Bland did get a contract this weekend, 4-year, $92 million, puts him number 5 on the list for all corners in the league, all pro in 2023. We remember the pick six hysteria that he had there for a little while. But I will also say Parsons creating havoc the way he did was probably a big reason also that Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs were able to have a lot of the interception success that they were able to have.
Sure.
Diggs, by the way, also uncertain, it appears, for week 1. He made the comment that he's unsure about the opener, but he'll play no later than week 4. So that's really reassuring as well for Dallas fans.
Diggs was, I used to call him the Marcus Smart of football, because Marcus Smart, when you would watch him play basketball, remember that year he won Defensive Player of the Year. I know you remember it well. But he would just play for steals the whole time, and then he'd get burned a lot of the time too. But those steal numbers would be great. Same thing with Diggs. Like that year where it was just like, I'm just going to play for these picks every time. Who cares if I give up over 1,000 yards receiving? I just want a bunch of interceptions. But either way, I mean, he said it, one less distraction. You still have one, which is your owner, but still.
Let's hit on a few of these other week 1 games, and we might as well go to Green Bay here quickly, taking on the Lions, 2.5-point spread there, because Parsons, we saw an update on his back earlier today from Adam Schefter that if he plays against the Lions, which is now an if up in the air, he might need an epidural injection to his back. He has been on an anti-inflammatory plan with the Cowboys, and now obviously that physical therapy and all of that will continue with Green Bay, but his status up in the air as well.
Do you think the Lions, or excuse me, do you think the Packers are better on a neutral field than the Lions?
No.
So we should play Detroit here. I mean, like, I am somebody that thinks home field is worth 1.5 points, maybe even less. So you're looking at a number like this. It's 2.5, shaded to the favorite side at a lot of different spots. I think that it's a little strong, maybe not the biggest edge in the world. We'll see if it gets up to 3. But my initial question here is just that. Do I think the Packers are a better team on a neutral? I would say no. I think these two teams are equals. If not, the Lions are still slightly better by my own measurement. And this, to me, I have Detroit circled as the potential play here for the week. We'll see if it gets to 3, but I am still hesitant to really buy all in. I have my questions about Jordan Love. I have my questions about his penchant for putting the ball in danger. And I still think Detroit's a relatively skilled team, especially on offense.
I share your sentiments with Green Bay, especially about Jordan Love, and I'm curious what it's going to look like, because obviously he got injured so early last season. It was right out the gate. And so how much of that impacted his season as a whole, I don't know. There's people that are saying maybe he's an MVP candidate this year. I just don't see it that way. So I lend more toward the Lions as well here. Another contract and injury update for you. Juwan Jennings, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, back out on the practice field this week, which is notable. And we have heard Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch all say that they expect him to play this weekend against Seattle.
There we go. Still alive for number 1 seed in the NFC.
Let's go.
So we needed them out there. They're 2-point favorites. So we saw them get as high as 2.5, but Mark is starting to move in Seattle's direction. I would agree with this movement as well. Like I don't think you're going to get to 3. That would be a very valuable grab if you could get it, with Seattle catching 3 at home against San Francisco. But I don't think the market's going to get there.
Total 43.5 there. Okay, let's go back to your Colts and Dolphins. How do we feel about this one? Where do we think this number is ultimately going to land, first and foremost?
I probably think Miami is going to go off as a short. I think it's like where it's at right now, because there's not that much of a difference, right, between 1 and 1, flipping through it. So I'd probably say it'll close a smattering of Colts 1, Miami 1, pick. I don't know if that'll be the case. If you tell me right now, or force me, which side is favored by the time we get to kickoff, I don't think I'd be shocked if it was Miami 1 consensus by the time we get there. Remember, the Colts are going through a ton of injuries in their secondary as well. I know the Dolphins, we've covered it quite a bit. I don't think they're going to be particularly great. They have their own secondary issues too. But you can at least make the case a little bit, I guess, that like front seven-wise, if all of the pieces are coming back from injury, actually hit the floor running, they're a little bit better. I don't think that's the case. But either way, this to me, if we're going to head in that direction, would be Indianapolis. I think these two teams are closer to equals to one another than anything else. And if we're making Miami a 1-point favorite on the road or a pick, we're saying that solidly Miami ranks ahead of this team from a power rating standpoint. I don't think that's the case.
Total here, 47.5. We talked off air earlier about how this Raiders-Patriots game had been sitting at 3 forever, and now it's 2.5 with the Patriots favored at home. Total 43.5. Does it surprise you at all to see the Raiders getting a little bit of play here?
Not too much. This is one early that I kind of had circled. I'm somebody that thinks Las Vegas has pretty high upside on offense, and I think I share that sentiment with a lot of people when you look at what they were bringing to the table. Oddly enough, remember last week or 2 weeks ago already? The Jacoby Myers thing pops up and then just disappears like a fart in the wind when it comes to his request for a potential trade. We'll see if that's actually going to happen. But given the upside for the Raiders on offense, I can understand this being something where it's attractive to folks grabbing 3. And I'll also say this. I'll pull up the numbers for this week as we can get it. One of the most overrated trends, that is, to use the term old heads, that the old heads really like, is the West Coast to East Coast travel. It's not that big of a deal. Since 2018, It's actually been a very positive trend for those traveling. So I wouldn't make too much of this. They travel differently than us.
Except for the 49ers. They are the ones that, unless they're staying out there.
I'm going to go out on a limb. You're a star. I'm going to say that the Raiders are going to travel a little differently than you just did over the last 24 to 48 hours.
Hey. Yeah, it's a little different being on Southwest. Yeah. That said, also one last one here, Panthers-Jags. We mentioned this with Greg Peterson a little bit earlier on the program, but we are over that 3 now. So worth noting that, and we'll talk throughout these games like all week long. We'll be hitting hard these week 1 lines, which a good reminder, we talked earlier about the college football and NFL betting guides, but the NFL betting guide 2.0 is out now after we got all of that preseason information, injury updates, lines that have shifted. The latest updates there in the guide 2.0, proven betting systems, you got contest strategies, additional host best bets from the original guide and beyond. Check it all out now. $9.99 your first 30 days when you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, vsin.com/subscribe. We'll be right back looking at some of JVT's biggest takeaways from some of the names in college football you might not have been looking at this weekend.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You think you're better than the experts? You prove it in the Edge Boost Average Joe contest. The same pick'em format as the Circa Friday Football Invitational with the pros. That's right. The top average Joe earns a spot in next year's 25 Pro Circa Invitational Field. It's free to play, and you can register anytime during the season to be eligible for weekly and quarterly prizes. Plus, each week, the highest score gets a $500 Edge Boost deposit. And if the weekly winner already has an Edge Boost account, that prize is boosted to a clean $1,000. Make sure you're eligible. Sign up at edgeboost.bet. Promo code VSiN. Into the contest today at vsin.com/Joe.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I usually do the reads. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now.
What do you mean? Why? I was going to say, if you weren't listening, that locked you in right away.
You have a penchant for accents here, I would say.
Not many. Although my favorite is the whiny guy. Yeah, that's my favorite guy. Can I add some context? So yes. I'm going to update this for tomorrow, but I'd mentioned this offhand. So according to my notes, from 2013 up through 2021, West Coast teams that played in the Eastern time zone through that stretch were 73-58 straight up, 73-53-5 against the spread. So that's 20 games over 500 ATS. Teams from the West Coast playing in the Eastern time zone. So I will update that because, as you astutely pointed out, it could have been asked for the last 3 years, and then we're back to 500.
That was my first right. I said, okay, but last 3 years though, so, where are we at?
So to give our audience, that was the context I'm rolling with. So I want to update that to see if that is still very true, because that still is inherently as well. A small sample size for the most part. We're still floating around like 120 games there. You want to see more, but ultimately it just comes back to me. We hear all the time about these older handicapper angles, which is like, that travel from east to west, from west to east, excuse me. Yeah, that's when they were flying on those rinky-dink jets back in the 70s, and guys were chain smoking in the cabin and, not really taking care of themselves and staying up all night. This is a little bit different with the way they handle things now, and I don't think it's as arduous as one might expect, and that obviously ties into what we're talking about with the Raiders. So just a quick context what I was talking about.
Let's go, though, from From NFL to some more college football talk, because you, as you were going through the games this weekend, started jotting down some notes. And obviously, we broke down some of the more marquee, big brand games that we saw and some of our immediate thoughts. But you're watching a lot of different things, which oftentimes for bettors is where you can find the best opportunity to dive in on some things. So what caught your eye?
Okay. I want to start, not selfishly, because you were on the game. I thought Cal-Oregon State was a very fascinating game.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I thought watching it, which I wanted to ask you as somebody who was on the sidelines, is Cal a lot better than we thought? We heard all off season how bad this was going to be. And then I watched our boy Sangapulatelli come out there. Sangapulatelli, excuse me. And they do it right?
Yep. Second time, yeah.
And he was great. He was fantastic. The arm was live. The accuracy downfield was there. He was a lot more athletic than I expected. It's not like I expected him to be a statuesque passer. I just didn't really know what it was going to be. And then you watch them defensively. Wilcox, as usual, has this defense just really sound, exactly what they're supposed to do. Made Oregon State look absolutely atrocious throughout the entire game. They end up going off as the favorite, never really a doubt in terms of the cover. But when you watch that kid play quarterback, if that's what it's going to be, and I'm going to get a Wilcox coach defense, I feel like rumors of this team's demise were a little over-exaggerated.
I completely agree. And we talked a little bit throughout the course of the week. I felt like as the week went on, I liked Cal more and more. Yeah. And I told you the conversation we had with Justin Wilcox going into the game that he was actively holding back his excitement when he was talking up this kid. I then talked to Ron Rivera pregame on the field, and I was just like, so Jaron, he's the real deal, yeah? And he was like, the things that this guy can do off platform, the natural thrower that he is, he's awesome. And a lot of people around the program think he's the first true freshman starter since Jared Goff, and they think that he can be like that for them with what he was able to do. So that's very telling in my mind. And defensively, as you mentioned, I've thought for a while they were going to be fine on that side of the ball. When I came on the show on Friday to just do my little spiel and talk about the game, I said, I think Cal is going to be a lot better than people think. I just need to see it on the field this weekend. Like, I don't know what it's going to look like on Saturday. And I felt like everything I was feeling ended up taking place.
By the way, the number one passer in the country after week one with one game left, according to Pro Football Focus, our boy. Let me say it. Jaron Kiave Sangapulatelli.
Jaron Kiave Sangapulatelli. He had like a 95.5 PFF grade.
Yep. He's the number one passer in the country right now.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah, he was great. So that's why I'm really curious about this Cal team as we move forward.
I thought you were trying to tee up a next segment and go over to Devin.
I want to, again, like that, the statistical returns were there. The eye test was there. So I'm very curious to see what this is going to be.
Dude, and they could have gone up at like another 2 scores, had a couple wide receivers, just won some contested catches too. Yep. So go ahead.
Next up, this also ties into the game that you were just on. Just really quickly, your thoughts. Is Malik Murphy healthy? Because I thought there were 2 quarterback injuries. There's a lot of injuries throughout the week, but the 2 that stuck out to me is Malik Murphy for Oregon State, and then Mike Alejado for Hawaii goes out there and plays against Arizona, can't finish the game, get some quotes afterwards that were pretty like, it's another week of rehab. I thought I was ready to go. It just doesn't really look great for Hawaii, who initially, having looked for a couple hours, was a 9-point favorite against Sam Houston State. So we'll see what that is. But Malik Murphy looked really dinged up to the point where I think they quit at the end of that game.
Yeah, I'll be more concerned about Hawaii than I would Oregon State. Sure. But yes, with Murphy, it was very clear that last drive he could not plant. I was watching him on the sideline. The knee, lower leg, ankle, all of that looked very uncomfortable every time he was trying to put pressure on it. He tried to run it out a couple times and just nothing doing. But I would also be more concerned that his right tackle, who is the best player on their offensive line, got injured, and I'm not sure what his status is going to be. At least Murphy post-game said that he'll be fine. So you feel good about him saying that. Offensively, more than the injury, I'm just worried about what the offense looks like, because Malik Murphy is used to at Duke playing that kind of up-tempo, no huddle, play action type game, see single, high throw it, do whatever you want to do kind of thing. And that's not what this offense is with Oregon. It looked very clunky. They were very out of rhythm, and I don't know how long it's going to take for them to get into that rhythm.
And they're laying a full 3 against Fresno State, who I think Fresno State defensively, one of their strengths is that defensive backfield. And I think that's a matchup that works for them. They looked a lot more explosive against Georgia Southern, and that was one of the games I had circled for next week. I wanted to get your thoughts a little bit more. And you're right, like the right tackle injury to me is pretty big, and it's not going to factor too much into the line. But market easily went from 2 to -3 in favor of Oregon State, but I'm a little tempted to come back on Fresno State if that's going to be the case. And by the way, Sam Houston, just to note, because that was one of the injuries that we discussed here, we're starting to see some 8.5s pop up. So grabbing 9, I think, would be beneficial with Hawaii, even if Mike Alejado doesn't play, or even if he does play. I just don't know how healthy he's going to be. All right, you want another one? I've got 2 more for you. Let's go individual team first. Because you were I wouldn't say an ardent defender, but you were a defender. Everything ties back to Stormy here. And you were on the sideline for the bowl game, I believe, for this one. I just put in my notes, Jaden Maiava with a bunch of question marks.
Yeah.
He looked pretty good over the weekend. Yeah. And I get it was just, who was it? Was it not Montana State? Or was it Montana State? It was some lower college that they were playing last week that I'm having a brain fart on. But he looked pretty good. I think he was 15 of 18, multiple touchdowns, ran one in. Offense looked pretty smooth. I understand the context of who you were playing, but I might have been wrong on Jaden Maiava.
Missouri State.
But
yes, 15 of 18 passing for just shy of 300 yards and 3 total touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah.
In the first half.
Sure. I mean, because I put that down because, again, there's a lot of people that I've talked to that I didn't share the same sentiment, that maybe in the Big Ten we were sleeping a little bit on USC. And the Big Ten as a whole, we'll see what Ohio State is, but we should note that Ohio State, if you look at some of like the post-win expectancy numbers, actually had the lowest post-win expectancy of any team that won over the weekend. So we'll see what that offense looks like. Oregon, I have my questions about. We'll see. It's only one game. I think Penn State's the best, but the whole point here being is maybe those people were right, and that USC could be one of these teams that we're looking at in December, or November, and being like, oh, this is the team that is maybe if they win this game going to be in the Big Ten championship game. Should also know, too, that I watched Washington scuffle with Colorado State over the weekend. So maybe if Maiava is everything people expect him to be, that there is a team that could find its way upward in USC.
Well, and we saw the defense take a step last year, which was really, really important, especially under Lincoln Riley. And for Maiava, when we did our breakdowns for the top 25, when we put our teams together and how we saw that shaking out, the big question was just what are the turnovers going to look like for Maiava? Because you did have the moments in the first half of that bowl game that you referenced in the Vegas Bowl where he's all over the place. What are we doing here? And then in the second half, he's just nails. So which version of him is he going to be more consistently? Obviously, this is just Missouri State. We need to see what this looks like. Again, it's a real defense and a real secondary, but he looked pretty solid, and a reason for USC fans, I think, to get a little excited and why they elected to have him be the guy coming into this year.
We have one more that I'm adding. We have to expand on this before Best Bet because we have Josh Appelbaum coming up. But my question would be, who are you really scared of right now inside of this top 10? You look at the quarterback play for some of these teams that they got this first week. Texas, Ohio State, Clemson. Again, jury's still out on Georgia for me. Notre Dame, Alabama. Those are 5 of the top 8 that I just listed off that just had abhorrent quarterback play. Yeah. And these are the expected contenders for a national championship. I am very curious to see how deep we could go here. But right now, in a short sample size, not great quarterback play at the top for some of these national title contenders.
And for some of them, though, a lot of young guys, too, guys that are getting their first shot. So we, I think, need a bigger sample size for working out some of those early season kinks as well for guys that are new. So, yes, let's expand on that a little bit later on. We will have best bets at the end of the hour, also a little bit of contest discussion. But when we come back, Josh Appelbaum, our market insights expert, will join us, get the lowdown on where the money is going today in North Carolina, TCU, and week 1 of the NFL. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Week 1 of the NFL season is upon us. Week 1 of college football in the books. We are loaded with football talk today, and we're going to keep it rolling as we welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony as we welcome in our good friend Josh Appelbaum on the Progressive Guest Line, our market insights expert. I can speak. I'm paid to speak. It's fine. What's going on, Josh? How are you, and how pumped are you that we are full send with football season?
Well, Stormy, JVT, happy Labor Day. It's great to be with you guys. And yeah, a little bittersweet because I'm one of those weirdos that loves grinding Major League Baseball literally every day for 6 months. But I got to say, you get football back in the world and everything seems to feel a lot better. So I'm excited. We got Michael Lombardi's debut, guys. This is unbelievable. Yes. Not only do we have Lombardi's debut tonight, but guess what? Steam is hitting this game, but not in the direction that Michael Lombardi would like.
All right, let's talk about it. We do get the Monday Night Football matchup. So where is the market heading?
Yeah, going against Belichick in this one. This is really interesting to me, JVT. Now, if we go way back in May, when you had a lot of these week 1 college football games opening up to the market, a lot of books actually opened North Carolina as a slight favorite in this one, around -1.5 at home. But that did not stay very long at all. By the time May got into June, we had already flipped from UNC laying 1.5 to then now TCU -2.5. You flip the last couple months here, we've now seen TCU get up to -3. You look at the last about week or so, last 48 hours, we've now gone to TCU -3.5. And if you pay attention to our VSiN board right now, it's not buyback coming back toward North Carolina. It's continuing to steam further toward TCU, -3.5, -112, -115. You're even getting a couple of shops now going up to -4. So this has really been notable to me that, from the open to current, there's been nothing but TCU money and movement hitting the market. There's no buyback really whatsoever on North Carolina. And it would really scare me if you wanted to play TCU, the line move, with the fact that it was a big public play. But it's actually not, guys. The public is on Belichick and Lombardi tonight. You're looking at our DraftKings splits, around like 59%, 60% of tickets are on Belichick as a home dog. But this line keeps going toward TCU. So it tells me we got a bit of a reverse line move, fade the trendy dog play. You look at the circa splits where you guys are at, around 47% of spread bets on TCU, but nearly 75% of the money is on TCU. So you're showing that low bets, higher dollar split in favor of the Horned Frogs. Now, if you do want to mitigate some risks, let's say you want to follow this sharp move, which I'm looking to go TCU tonight. I'm going to pay a little more juice and go money line on the Horned Frogs. They're around -175 now at FanDuel. If you look at the splits at circa, 24% bets, 85% of the money is on the money line here. So a lot of money here on TCU to win outright. It reminds me a little bit, guys, of the Arch Manning debut where you had a big name figure. This is a Coach Belichick, player was Manning, but the public went with that big name, yet the line kind of went the other way, especially that buyback toward Ohio State. So first college game, a lot of transfers. I'm going to go TCU to win this game. Also, guys, kind of like the under. It's been nothing but under steam. It was high as 59. You're down to 55, even 54.5. 60% of bets, 90% of money at circa on this under. So I'm going TCU outright to win. I'm leaning pretty hard on a lower scoring game here.
Yeah, I am on the under 55.5, but as you mentioned, 54.5's the overwhelming number now that we see in the market. Let's go ahead and shift gears into NFL Week 1, a handful of games that have been on the move, but I know one that has interested JVT and myself a lot is this Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields revenge game on both sides with the Steelers and Jets. From a market standpoint, what stood out to you?
Yeah, if we go back, take a step back, Stormy, you look at Week 1, it's a great time to take dogs in general. Back since 2016, if you played every Week 1 dog, you're 78-62 against the spread, 56%, 8% ROI. Week 1 road dogs, 59% ATS, 14% ROI. Week 1 dogs who missed the postseason, 57% ATS, 10% ROI. Week 1 division dogs, 66% against the spread, 26% ROI. Week 1 dogs getting 6.5 or more, 68% ATS, 31% ROI. So you get into Week 1, public's so excited they got football back, but they're going to take a lot of favorites. You can really buy low on these dogs and turn a profit historically. So what jumped out to me with the Jets game in this one, JVT and Stormy, is that the public is very clearly on the Steelers. Right now at DraftKings, nearly 70% of spread bets are going Steelers, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Notre Dame and Miami game from last night where the road team, short road favorite, was very popular, but the line kind of started to creep back, line freeze RLM play back toward the home dog. So we basically -3 Steelers, but even though they're getting nearly 3 out of 4 bets, a lot of books are juiced up toward the Jets. A lot of books are falling 3 down to 2.5. You look at the VSiN board, it's really expensive to still get the +3. Key number, -118 on the Jets. So that tells me liability is on the Jets in this spot, similar to Miami last night. That would match as a Week 1 dog, missed the postseason system match, 57% against the spread since 2016. And dogs with low totals, very low total here. Could be a low-scoring game. A total open around 39.5. You're down to 38.5. Always like taking a dog in a low total game. Fewer amount of expected points scored makes it harder for the favorite to cover. So I might hold my nose and have to go +3 with Justin Fields and the Jets here.
All right, let's go to the NFC East matchup between the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. And looks like the Giants are getting some action. Is that where you're at?
That's where I'm at, JVT. I wish I could have gotten a better price here because at the open, you're getting Giants 7 points. You're down to 6 here. But, man, really a lot of smart money continues to hit the G-men. We open this one, Commanders -7. Commanders are getting nearly 2/3 of bets at DraftKings. Yet Commanders aren't up to -7.5, -8. We're really tumbling back down the other way toward the G-men here. So again, why is the line getting better and easier for the public to play the Commanders when they're already on Washington to begin with? Well, it's because it looks like respected money has come down on the G-men plus the points. Very contrarian at DraftKings. And if you look at Circa, only 39% of spread bets are on the G-men, but 91% of dollars are on the Giants. That is a huge low bets, higher dollar split out in Vegas. And this is one of the top system match plays of the week, guys. You look at a division dog, 66% against the spread since 2016 in week 1. Road dogs, 59% ATS. Dog who missed the postseason, 57% ATS. And one of the systems Michael Lombardi always loved, Russell Wilson as a dog. Starter here for the Giants, he's 62% ATS in his career when he's getting points. So really majority here is clearly on Washington. Feels like Jaden Daniels at home, easily win by 7 or more. But public's going Washington. Line's going toward the Giants. I'm looking at the Giants plus the points here, guys.
Josh Appelbaum, VSiN betting analyst, host of the All Systems Go podcast, and author of the NFL Sharp Betting Playbook, out now, by the way, for inquiring minds, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Let's hit one more here. Bengals-Browns, another game that I know has piqued our interest in our just grand scope conversation of Survivor, but a 5.5-point spread there, total 47.5, and I know that total has seen some movement. What caught your eye?
Caught my eye is the fact that this line is really still showing liability toward the Cleveland Browns, Stormy. I mean, you look at this line, it opened at around Cincinnati -6. You're down to 5.5. The 5.5 is not juiced like it's going back towards Cincy. It's juiced like it may get down to 5. And I actually think there is a book across the market that is down to 5. So again, we're seeing public heavy on Joe Burrow. They re-signed T. Higgins and obviously their wide receivers, bring in Hendrickson, give him more money. 76% of spread bets are laying it with the Bengals. This is one of the top public plays of the week. Seems like an easy Bengals win, but again, line isn't moving toward the popular side. It's coming back toward Cleveland. Cleveland is one of your top bet against the public plays, only 24% of spread bets at DraftKings. And again, I love comparing DraftKings to Circa because out at Circa, 32% of spread bets on the Bengals, or on the Browns, I should say, but 88% of the money is on the Browns. Now, you look at the system matches here, divisional dogs, built-in familiarity, levels the playing field. You know, 2 teams, same division. I automatically want to think about taking the points with the dog because the built-in familiarity really levels the playing field, benefits the team getting points. Those division dogs in week 1 are 66% against the spread since 2016. Dogs who missed the postseason the previous year, 57% ATS. Both teams missed the playoffs, take the dog. That's 59% against the spread in week 1. So this is one of those gross hazmat plays a la Michael Lombardi. But to me, I'm going to put on that hazmat suit and take the Browns in this one.
I love all the nods to our guy Michael today. Yes, general manager of North Carolina Tar Heels, but our former teammate here at VSiN. And obviously, Josh, you were a huge staple on the Lombardi line. Appreciate your time as always. Good luck with your bets. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks so much, guys. And Stormy, I love you so much for putting that big, beautiful book right in front of you. If I get any sales, I'll give you some juice on them.
What a guy. Thank you, by the way, for sending these to us. This is awesome. The NFL Sharp Betting Playbook, everybody. We mentioned it, but it is available now. I know a lot of you got in on the pre-orders and everything when you became a VSiN Pro subscriber, but really, really awesome work by Josh. A labor of love. This thing is fantastic. So get on it if you haven't already today. Make sure you follow Josh as well, at Josh_insights on X. JVT, have you settled on anything in that Bengals game yet? Like, what does your gut tell you?
Oh, Bengals.
No problem.
No, I mean,
Not even close.
it's their Super
Really?
Bowl. It's their Super Bowl, dude. I am 100% on that train.
You are. I've gathered that your thought process on LSU is your thought process on Cincinnati.
Yeah, like it
Invested
feels
so much in week 1.
Data and defense be damned. That team is putting everything into not starting 0-1.
Do you still like the total though, based on how bad the defense is? Are we going to get points?
I still lean toward under. It's Joe Flacco.
Really?
It's Joe Flacco, a quarterback, dude. They want to control the line of scrimmage, time of possession.
It's still that secondary in the second.
I think he's terrible.
So, okay, we're gonna step aside. When we come back, wrapping up this Monday edition of the program with our best bets and a little contest talk. Stick with us here on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. We got some best bets coming up in a couple minutes, but we were having an off-camera conversation about, like, just in general, updated season win totals and numbers that are on the move specifically for college football coming out of week one. And there were a few things we were disappointed we weren't able to find in the market. Like, there's only, like, for updated season win totals, I thought that we would see more of them right away. And there's like 5 teams that are up right now. Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe they're just waiting for the week in its totality to end. The TCU and North Carolina, that could be it as well. Although some teams are up, as we were discussing, and I was telling you, I was sniffing around for some Mountain West stuff. Could not find it. Have yet to find some adjusted conference odds there as well, because I think there might be some opportunities. So maybe once the season is done in its totality after tonight, we might see some stuff that we can talk about tomorrow.
And like to miss the playoff numbers, like let's get those back up so we can take a look at all of those. Well, I wanted to ask you.
Cal make the playoff?
No.
They could do it.
We were talking earlier about Cal and how, okay, let's say this true freshman quarterback is for real.
Jaron Kiave-Sangapulutele.
Freaking nailed it, which I asked him. He is cool with JKS as well, for those that want to just keep it simple.
You asked Jaron Kiave-Sangapulutele?
I did. And he also is cool with Jaron.
Because whatever Jaron Kiave-Sangapulutele wants to be called, I feel like Jaron Kiave-Sangapulutele should be called.
And Nico's last name is?
I do. The other day, I was actually, I don't know if you felt the energy in the world directed toward you. I don't know what I was doing. I might have been somewhat inebriated, but I was sitting at home watching these games, and for some reason, I kept trying to say it. Nico, again, I couldn't do it. Because since you have told me the difference in, like, I say it right, but I don't put the emphasis on the right syllables, it has thrown me for an entire, I can't do it. Say it?
Nico Iamaleava.
Iamaleava, okay.
You got this.
Iamaleava.
Yes.
I keep going back to my normal, which is Iamaleava.
Yeah. It's okay. It's not emphasis. It's emphasis. So, like, you'll get it.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. At least I'm not calling him Iamaleava.
True, which we have heard. We have heard. But to go back to the Cal point, if he's the real deal, right? Okay. If this defense actually is good, and like they have some really talented linebackers, Justin Wilcox said that defensive front might be his favorite unit on the team, just in terms of like the level of improvement that they made. And he's a defensive guy, right? Hires Brian Harsin, hires Nick Rolovich to get this offense on track. If they end up being that good, let's take a look at their schedule. For their preseason win total being set at 5.5, and everybody thinking this team was going to be terrible because of the mass exodus they had at the program. They win week 1 with a flip of favorites with that spread in Oregon State on the road. They have Texas Southern this week, and then week 3 hosting Minnesota, which I will be on the sideline for that game too. And I think that's going to be their first real test. We'll see what that defense ultimately looks like. But let's say they're 3-0 to open the season, and then they're at San Diego State.
A winnable game. At
Boston College. Host Duke and North Carolina. They do get the Tar Heels at home coming out of a bye. At Virginia Tech, Virginia, Louisville, Stanford, and SMU.
By the way, for clarity, Cal is the one coming out of the bye for our audience.
Yes. I look at 6 wins, 7 wins. I mean, if they're actually good, this could be an 8-win team potentially.
Well, and I think what's going to be interesting, and for also further clarity, both Carolina and Cal are going to be coming off of a bye, so maybe a little negated there. But making the travel over to play Cal. The other question becomes, as we're talking about this, what if North Carolina is terrible? Right? There's obviously a reality where some of your opponents are much worse than what the preseason expectation was. So then all of a sudden a team that maybe is better than what the preseason expectation was, games that weren't as winnable become a little bit more winnable. So and
I'm not saying that's going to happen.
No, but I'm with you. Like, look, he looked great. The kid looked great. And Wilcox does a good job with some of these defenses. And if he is, as he is right now, the highest rated passer in the NFL by PFF standards, or in the NFL in the country, if you get that above an average quarterback play, that is worth so much in these winnable games that we're talking about potentially playing here. Would it be insane if we're talking about, I mean, it might be insane, 4-0 Cal going into the Boston College game?
I think
it's what your expectations are of Minnesota.
I think it's very realistic.
Yeah.
And we still need to see what San Diego State is. I still don't think they're going to be very good. They beat Stony Brook by a lot. Good for you, but what are they really going to be as a whole team? I don't know yet. So I think that 4-0 start is very, very reasonable. And if you did take the over 5.5, you don't think you can sneak 2 more wins in after that, or 3 more wins on the adjusted number, whatever that may be?
I mean, and if you're looking at spots where you're like, there's no shot, remember, Miami, number 8, Miami made a trip out there to Cal last year and got pushed to the absolute brink by the Golden Bears. Like, it can happen where you're talking about spots, going out there, making trips, doing all the sort of things where it becomes a little bit more touch and go. You know, Stanford obviously is going to be one of those wins too near the end of the year.
I'm also just saying for an ACC schedule, you don't have to face Clemson. You don't have to face Miami.
Dude, Virginia, it could be a winnable spot as well. No, I'm with you. It's JKS becoming a very good quarterback. It makes all the difference in the world.
Okay, let's hit our best bets here real quickly. Presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN, as always. And remember, GBank is the bank account built with bettors in mind. Right now, you can earn $50 in cashback rewards once you're approved and your account is open with a GBank Visa signature card. While most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when it's your own money, GBank treats them as regular purchases. That means no cash advance fees. Save you 3 to 5% on every deposit right there. Plus, you get 1% cash back on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions. 2% cash back on everything else you buy. You can apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. And you already have a week 2 game in college football that you are targeting here.
Yes. So let's talk about Nico Iamaleava. Did I do that right?
Just say it faster, I think.
Okay.
Just say it fast in a single tone.
Either way, with Nico, I'm going to lay it with UCLA. So here's the thing. I think we're doing a little too much because I'll go back to our original thought when we talked about it. I think a lot of people were very quick to bury UCLA after the performance against Utah. What if Utah is that good? What if Utah is the best team in the Big 12 and a potential playoff team, and now UCLA gets to go and take on UNLV? I've, unfortunately, watched a lot of UNLV football. And the 2 performances, both of them wins, but specifically the Sam Houston State game, it was not overtly impressive, Stormy, against the Bearcats. They were still having some defensive miscommunications that Sam Houston State was not taking advantage of. I think UCLA is good enough offensively to take advantage of a defense that has shown that I think it's going to be pretty average to maybe below average. And I think we're overreacting just a skosh here to UCLA losing the way it did to Utah. As somebody who thinks the Utes are a very good team, very good, I'm not downgrading UCLA that much coming out of it. And I've watched enough of UNLV, which, by the way, I think this is a negative, is already playing their 3rd game here against UCLA. They played a lot of football. The taxing nature of that with a defense that isn't particularly great, I think that UCLA is being undersold. I would expect they go off with a key number across the board of like 3.5. I think under 3 is a playable number, so went with the Bruins, -2.
Off the top of the show, for me, we mentioned tonight TCU, North Carolina, under 55.5, even at the 54.5, which those are going away. So if you are interested on the under, you should do it sooner rather than later. But I am on the under in this game. I feel like TCU's defense may be a little bit underrated, and Bill Belichick and Steve Belichick, what they're putting together for this defense, I think they could come out maybe guns a-blazing a little bit here. I like Josh Hoover a lot, but some unproven wide receivers here. Some things that Josh Hoover struggles with, Steve Belichick dials up a lot. We talked about that man coverage. A lot of the things that he's really good at, Josh Hoover has struggled with in the past. And for North Carolina offensively, what is this offense going to be yet? A lot of new wide receivers. Omarion Hampton is not here anymore. You're working in a new young quarterback from South Alabama. So we've seen in a lot of these standalone games as well, and these early season marquee games, defenses have been ahead of the offenses. We've seen some of these big defensive performances, and maybe we get that today. And a game that, yes, this total has moved down a lot. Josh Appelbaum told you earlier, this opened some places at 59. We're at 54.5 now, but I still do feel that's probably the way this thing is going to go. We'll see when all's said and done, but I am on the under. I have 55.5, but I would still feel comfortable at 54.5.
You want to update the score? Serbia is up 75-55 over the Czech Republic in Group A of group play in the Euro basket tournament.
Nice.
Nikola Jokic, good 18 minutes so far.
We need to we teased.
People are laughing. I mean, it's massive.
We didn't do nearly enough contest talk as we were supposed to today.
I know,
because
you were avoiding it.
That's on me.
You're avoiding it.
That's on me. Tomorrow I'll be ready for you.
I'm going to start my campaign here.
Because you wrote in bold letters.
Yeah, what did I put?
That you feel like all not bold.
Did you delete it? Okay.
Bold red all caps. Can I read it?
Sure, of course.
I'm officially asking for Denver as our survivor play. Yeah. You've changed.
Uncle Sam picture. I'm officially asking.
The question is, like, do you want the most picked team?
I don't care about that. I don't care. The situation is too good to pass up. I'd rightfully go down with the ship. Don't care.
You don't think
if a rookie quarterback against the best defense, arguably, in the league goes on the road in Denver and beats me outright, so be it.
Okay.
See, when I put it like that.
I have leaned more toward the Arizona Cardinals just because of a similar argument just against the quarterback. Like, if Spencer Rattler beats me, I deserve to lose. I think the Cardinals are that much better. Okay,
we don't have time. I have a rebuttal.
Full conversation.
I have a rebuttal.
Tomorrow on Money Moves. That's a wrap for us today. Coming up next, Follow the Money. Mitch and Pauly coming up. Got you locked and loaded for the next 3 hours. Have a great day.